Most people believe that being intelligent is an advantage, that if you're smart, life should be easier. You should make better decisions, achieve more, and figure things out faster. And in some ways, that's true. But what most people don't realize is that intelligence also comes with hidden downsides, things that aren't obvious at first. In fact, some of the same traits that make someone intelligent can also make life more complicated, more stressful, and at times, more difficult. So if you've ever felt like you think too much or struggle in ways that don't seem to make sense, there might be a reason for that, because intelligence doesn't just change what you know, it changes how you experience the world, the way you think, the way you process situations, the way you interact with people. And while that can give you an advantage in certain areas, it can also create challenges that most people don't see. Challenges that are easy to misinterpret as laziness, overthinking, or even anxiety. But when you understand them, they start to make sense. And more importantly, you can start to work with them instead of against them. One of the most common downsides of intelligence is overthinking. When your mind is constantly analyzing, you don't just experience things, you dissect them. You think about what happened, why it happened, what it means, and then you think about what could happen next. You replay conversations, you question your decisions, you imagine different outcomes. And while this can lead to insight, it also creates mental noise, because instead of moving forward, you stay stuck in thought. And over time, thinking becomes a substitute for action. When you see multiple perspectives, making decisions becomes harder. You don't just see one option, you see all the possibilities, all the trade-offs, all the potential outcomes. And that sounds useful until you realize it makes committing to anything difficult. Because no option feels perfect. Every choice has downsides. So instead of choosing and moving forward, you hesitate. You wait, you think, you try to find certainty. But the more you search for the perfect decision, the more stuck you become. Another downside is feeling out of sync with others. When you think deeply, you often process things differently. You might notice patterns others don't, ask questions others don't consider, or think about things more abstractly. And because of that, conversations can feel shallow, repetitive, sometimes even exhausting. It's not that you don't like people, it's that you struggle to connect in the same way. And over time, that can lead to feeling isolated, even when you're surrounded by others. Intelligent people often set higher standards for themselves. You don't just want to do something, you want to do it well. You think about how things should be done, what the ideal outcome looks like. And because of that, you become more critical of your work, of your progress, of yourself. But high standards can become a problem when they stop you from starting. Because if something doesn't meet your expectations, it feels like failure. So instead of moving forward imperfectly, you hold back. Thinking constantly uses energy, a lot of it. If your mind is always active, analyzing, questioning, reflecting, you're using mental resources all day long, even when you're not doing anything physically demanding. So when it's time to take action, you feel drained. Tasks feel heavier than they should. And your brain resists, not because you're lazy, but because it's trying to conserve energy. This is why even simple things can sometimes feel difficult. The more you understand something, the more complex it becomes. You start to see how many variables are involved, how unpredictable outcomes can be, how little control you actually have, and that awareness changes how you act, because instead of seeing things as simple, you see how complicated they really are, and that can reduce motivation. Because when something feels uncertain or overly complex, it becomes harder to take action confidently. The truth is, being intelligent isn't just about having advantages, it also comes with challenges. The same mind that helps you understand things deeply can also make it harder to act, decide, and stay consistent. But that doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you need a different approach, one that doesn't rely on thinking more, but on acting despite the thinking. Because progress doesn't come from perfect understanding. It comes from movement. So if you've experienced these struggles, it's not a weakness, it's a pattern. And once you recognize it, you can start to move forward anyway.